Let's talk about Zone 2 training. What is Zone 2 training and why should you be doing Zone 2? Zone 2 training is the second level of intensity within the training zones, and it is between 60 and 70% of your maximum heart rate. The easiest way to get to Zone 2 is by monitoring your heart rate on a heart rate monitor. If you do not have a heart rate monitor, there are other ways to get into Zone 2. One of the ways would be to do the talk test. This is where you are able to keep a conversation with someone else while you're running. A conversational pace is basically where you are able to run with a partner, and while exercising you can get out more than 1 or 2 sentences at a time without feeling like you're overexhausting yourself or you're just running out of breath. While we're running in Zone 2, we are primarily burning fat as fuel. This also puts less strain on our bodies and less stress as well. Nearly all professional athletes implement some sort of low intensity training into their training regimen. Majority of them actually adopting 80% of their training to low intensity. One of the main reasons to be doing low intensity training is because of the fuel you'll be using. So the body consists of 2 main fuels. One, carbohydrate, which is more your high intensity interval training, and fats, which it uses for low intensity like walking, talking, sleeping and breathing. So what we do when we train in Zone 2 is we primarily use this fat because we have an unlimited supply of fat stores in our body, or nearly unlimited. Whereas with carbs, there's a limited supply. So once you run out, then you'll be struggling and you'll feel fatigued, and it will make you want to stop sooner than you actually need to. What we want to be using is our fat and reserving our carbs for when we actually need it most. So you might be asking yourself the question, how does this level of training benefit me, the non-professional athlete? Well, there's a few reasons why. Training at a low intensity builds up your energy efficiency. Perhaps think of your body as a battery and the type of training a light source. The higher the intensity and the brighter the light, the sooner the battery will run out. But the lower the level of the light, the longer the battery will last. Always keep in mind that the difference between a battery and the body is the body has the ability to adapt if we allow it to. Let's talk about the other bonus benefits of Zone 2 training. The other benefits of Zone 2 training is the fact that you'll be sleeping better, you'll have better fat loss, you'll reduce your risk of injury, you'll improve your heart health, you'll improve your metabolism, enhance recovery, reduce your chances of getting diabetes, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, and mental health. And it will also increase your longevity. When we go into the higher intensities above Zone 2, like Zone 3, 4, and 5, what we actually do is we're going into anaerobic training. What happens when we go into anaerobic training is the body relies primarily on carbohydrates as its fuel source. And because carbohydrate is a limited fuel inside the body, there is a greater chance of us running out. That's why athletes who do sprints and high intensity interval training or powerlifting, they use carbohydrates, but they only use it for a short period of time, allowing their body to recoup. Unfortunately, with endurance, we don't have the luxury of being able to do that. And even though we do in the likes of gels, it's never enough to really carry us through. We need to be depending primarily on our fat stores because it's so unlimited. The other downside of high intensity training is the fact that your body will build up lactic acid, which will make you feel more fatigued and more tired, and will make you want to stop sooner as well. There is a place for high intensity interval training, even for endurance athletes. However, too much of it can be too taxing on the body and also has other side effects. Too much high intensity training can lead to higher levels of cortisol, overtraining, injury, and also weight gain. Another reason why we want to be doing zone training from a physical standpoint is we want to be using our slow twitch muscles instead of our fast twitch muscles. Think of your fast twitch muscles like a sprinter. He's trying to get from 0 to 100 in the shortest period of time because he only needs to run 100 meters. However, if you look at long distance or endurance runners, they need to be going for a very long time, and fast twitch muscles just can't go for that long. Therefore, we want to be training and adapting our slow twitch muscles to be more efficient and to move at a faster rate. And how do we do this? We can only do this by training them more often. So why is it so important to stay in zone 2? Like I said, when we're training in zone 2, not only are we using a different energy system inside our bodies, but we are also using different muscles. As soon as we break that threshold of zone 2 and go into zone 3, 4 and 5, what happens is we start using our fast twitch muscles, which isn't an issue. The problem is we are trying to train our slow twitch muscles and we're trying to become more efficient at it. You can only get more efficient at something if you train at it. So the longer we do zone 2 and stay out of zone 3 and zone 4, we'll be working our slow twitch muscles and we'll also be working our fat burning energy system inside our body, making it more efficient and making it easier and faster for when we do. Let's discuss mitochondria. Mitochondria is an organelle that lives inside all of our cells. This specific organelle is there to produce energy. It's basically the powerhouse of our cells. And what we want to do is we want to make our mitochondria as efficient as possible. And also we want to multiply the number of mitochondria we have, so that when we are training, all that mitochondria can produce more energy for us and produce it more efficiently as it's more trained to do so. So how do you know if you are in zone 2? Well, there are multiple ways to know. One, you can have a wristwatch which has heart rate sensor on it, or you can have a standalone heart rate monitor, or you can run at a conversational pace. So if you don't feel out of breath, you feel like the workout is easy, then you know you most likely, however not as accurate, you will most likely be in zone 2. The easiest way to work out your zone 2 is to take 180 and minus your age. The number you get is the ceiling of your zone 2. So I'm 30, and if I take 180 and I minus 30, then I get to 150. So my ceiling for my zone 2 is 150 beats per minute. So not to say that you need to stay at 150 beats per minute all the time, but you must try not to exceed it. So somewhere in the ballpark of about somewhere between 140 to 145, or if you want, maybe between 140 and 150 beats per minute. Most importantly, be patient. As amazing as the body is and as adaptable as it is, it still needs time. Remember, you only started doing this recently, and even if you haven't and you've been training for years without any real result and you want to try something new and zone 2 is what you've decided to do, give it some time. Give it a few months at the very least, 6 months, a year, maybe even longer. This type of results generally take long, but I promise it's worth it in the end. Initially, you might feel like you're being lazy, you might feel like you're never really running, you're walking most of the time, or you're never going fast enough so you don't feel like you're really training. But as long as you are in the zone you need to be, then you have no need to worry. Just trust the system. If you are a new runner and you're trying to implement zone 2 training, try not to increase your mileage by more than 10% per week, as it might lead to injury or strain. Key takeaway points are: zone 2 training is oxygen dependent training. You should be able to keep a conversation while you're running. You're training at between 60 and 70% of your maximum heart rate. You're primarily trying to burn fat as opposed to carbohydrates, all the while trying to increase your efficiency. The other benefits of zone 2 training is avoiding high levels of cortisone, overtraining or overstraining of your muscles, injury and weight gain. The easiest way to get your zone 2 or the maximum of your zone 2 is to take 180 minus your age. That's as easy and as simple as it is.